And welcome to Interesting to See, your daily sports podcast and YouTube video about sports. The news, what people are saying, that means a narrative, kind of, and gambling, and whatnot, etc. I'm your host, Nick. Today, no highlight to enter the show. I'm not going to do baseball highlights. I will do that in July at the end of the hiatus. I'm looking into the hiatus right now, and I think the hiatus is going to be the last week in June, which is when the Stanley Cup should be over. At that point in time, maybe there'll be something to talk about, but I'm not going to cover MLB All-Star. I'm not going to cover MLB only and golf. And then when we come back, we'll have a bunch of shit to catch up on. Maybe I'll do a weekly. Maybe do 6 weeks, we'll do a weekly. Maybe we'll do 30 minutes just by myself, just talking into the mic. God, I know that's what everybody wants. Okay, on this show, we have some controversy, which is how the Brits say it. We'll also preview the Stanley Cup playoffs. And if you're watching on your screen on YouTube or Spotify, this is Ben Verlander, I think a relation of Justin Verlander. I think a brother, but I'm not sure. Like I'm 99% sure he's Justin Verlander's brother. Ben Verlander, who covers the MLB, has this picture. The San Francisco Giants, this fantasy thing will not end. Jock Peterson, who plays for them, their team warmed up in shirts that say stashing players on the IR isn't cheating. Petty wars. It matters, folks. Fantasy fucking matters. The real speculation about this whole thing has been how much money are they putting on this league, and like these guys are multi-millionaires, like 10 grand. So 10 grand each, like for an 8-player league would be what? Think about it that way. 20 grand, 45 grand, who knows? Mike Trout is worth $500 million. So, and he was the commish of that league. All right, let's get into some stuff that's actually interesting. We'll start in football, then we'll get out of football. Two things. Thing number one, three things. Thing number one, it appears that two more accusers are coming out against Deshaun Watson, and that there will be more lawsuits. That's, it is what it is. Thing number two is that in discussions of how to handle the Ron Rivera thing, had handled the Jack Del Rio thing. Remember, Jack Del Rio, of course, was the person who called the January 6th insurrection attempt a dust-up, but then said he was far more angry about looting during the riots and protests of 2020. So, and he said a bunch of other inflammatory shit, but he's not the most intelligent person politically, so I'm just not going to quote it. Who cares? Ron Rivera, in a press conference, remember it's OTA, off-season crap is happening right now, so these guys are required contractually, which means in a CBA, they're required by law to show up for media or they'll be fined or possibly fired. He said, quote, the head coach of the Washington Commanders said on his defensive coordinator putting his foot in his mouth, he has read the First Amendment over and over in light of Jack Del Rio's remarks. He has a copy of the First Amendment on his desk, which is freedom of speech and religion, etc. He wants to make it clear that he takes this matter very seriously. Neato. All right, thing number two is actually a lot more fun. Golden Tate, what's up, bud? Golden Tate, Seattle Seahawks and Detroit Lions fame and New York Giants sadness and of Notre Dame fame. He was drafted in Major League Baseball twice, which meant once as a college baseball player and once as a high schooler. He was drafted in the second round by the Seattle Seahawks, where he won a Super Bowl. He then did very well with the Lions and was 100-catch, 1,000-yard season a couple times. He is playing in the West Coast League. The Port Angels lefties have signed Golden Tate. This is the first time in the history of the West Coast League that a former NFL player will be playing for them. Remember, Tracy McGrady played for some similar league in the East Coast or Carolina, but Golden Tate apparently was really good. Best of luck. That's kind of fun. Yeah, that's kind of fun. Let's get to the controversy. The College World Series starts in a couple of days. I believe Friday, we said 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is the first game. We'll preview that from a gambling standpoint if you want to wager on children. We can do that, but we need to talk about what the hell is going on. So we found out this news broke. Zach Collier, who is allegedly a singer. I don't know who Zach Collier is, but he's a singer. He sang the national anthem at the Women's College World Series, which Oklahoma won, obviously. He was then offered by the NCAA to sing at the Men's College World Series. However, Zach Collier did horns down after singing the national anthem during the Women's College World Series because Texas was there. He got these emails. He had their email addresses. Good for him. Zach, due to the unsportsmanlike behavior shown after your performance at the Women's College World Series, we need to go a different direction. You are no longer scheduled to perform at Game 9 of the Men's College World Series. Game 9, which I don't know, that would be a reasonably important game. Zach responds, to what unsportsmanlike behavior are you referring to? So when you put the preposition at the beginning, you don't have to put it at the end. Just a little thing. What do you mean? They said. And it said, below is the response from the NCAA. We have documented proof that he made an offensive gesture in mockery of a participating team at the Women's College World Series, and we do not feel comfortable allowing him to perform. Texas has made the NCAA their bitch so much that they're literally offended by horns down, bitches. Like, that is hilarious. This guy can't sing because he did horns down. This is bullying 101, which is not bullying. The University of Texas alumni system is worth, like, I want to say $20 billion. I could be wrong. I think it's $20 billion. Billion. It is worth $20 billion, and they're mad about horns down. So, yeah, we're going to keep doing it. Fuck you guys. This guy can't sing because he did horns down. I can't. I literally can't believe it. All right, let's go to soccer, where this goalie for Australia is the story. So this is what's going to happen. This is my prediction. This goalie from Australia is the story now. He's going to make it to the World Cup. He's going to dance. Australia, because they're not very good, are going to get their fucking asses kicked, and this will never be bigger than it is right now. That's my guess. His name is Andrew Redmayne, and he danced. Excuse me. He danced before some PKs, which means penalty kick for those of you non-participants. Here, I'll bring it up. There he is. He's dancing. He's like, oh, hey, look over here. Look over here. Boom, saved it. Turns out that's not the only thing that he did. Watch this.
For Adelaide United, but this is
all right.
Different levels.
It's a goal key. It's a penalty kick. It's a penalty kick.
With Martin Boyles.
All right, so if you're not paying attention, that's him back there. I'm going to mute it so I don't get DCMA'd or whatever. So we're moving along. We're moving along. That's his opponent goalkeeper, right? That's not Andrew. So there's the guy that's going to kick. Australia still uses collars on their football kits. There he is, right there. You can see him behind. See the guy in the black? He's back there in the gray. Like, I'll show you. That's him, right there, in the gray. So we go up here, and there he is in the background. So what he's doing right there is he's throwing the other keeper's water bottle into the stands because the other keeper, in preparation for penalty kicks, had the scouting report taped to his water bottle, which keepers often do that because they can't go run over and get advice from the coach. Like, if there's a thing, they can get the signals. It's like having a wristband. A wristband actually might be significantly smarter if it were allowed in professional football. I don't know if it is or if it isn't. He threw the water bottle into the stands. People love him for this. I think that should get his ass kicked. I don't know. It's up to you, I suppose. But the real story here, no, that is the real story, but I do want to read you the douchiest paragraph I've ever read in sports writing. This is written by Emma Kemp, who's great. She writes for The Guardian. She's great. I'm going to bring it up for you. In 2019, Andrew Redmayne made me a coffee. That's what's called a lead, and what it is supposed to draw you in. And now on longer stories, you use leads like that so that there's a human connection. You start with an anecdote, and then you go into the thing instead of just saying 17 people were shot in a school today in pick your state. This kind of lead makes you think, okay, in 2019, Andrew Redmayne made me a coffee. I was at the training base of his team, Sydney FC, waiting to conduct some preseason interviews when the goalkeeper caught me attempting to use the club's machine and intervened. So I've heard the word I and me, which is great. Occasionally you can do that if you want to have voice. However, I don't give a shit. Sports journalists are so good at making it very clear how cool they are. And this is the purpose of the show. The reason why I started was to make fun of sports journalists. Emma, you're better than that. That was a douchey paragraph. He completed a barista course about 3 years prior, he said, because he'd been fed up with football, ready to retire at 27 and work at a friend's cafe. There you go. That's a better lead. Ugh, yuck. Hockey news. Let's do some hockey news. First thing, that Bruce Cassidy, who was fired as the Boston head coach for stupidity, despite being incredibly successful. The GM there has completely taken over the reins of Boston, which is hilarious. I don't root for Boston. I hate them at every sport. They hired Bruce Cassidy. They fired Bruce Cassidy. He's been hired by the Golden Knights. Other hockey news that is sick and awesome. We have some diversity news, which I'm a big fan of. Diversity. Especially, I am a big fan of advocating for women in sports, especially because it's like impossible. Like, women get almost no opportunities that men do, whether it's sports journalism or whether it's coaching or athletics or viewership or what have you. Jessica Campbell of Team Canada fame. There she is right there. She has been hired and will serve as the coach of the 22 New York Rangers development camp that will take place later this summer. The development camps are like training camps. It's like a tryout for half the people. And for like rookies who are highly drafted, they usually go, and it's just like a rookie camp, essentially. But that's a big deal. She's going to be in charge of grown men. Good for her. She was a great hockey player back in the day. That was the heyday of Team USA versus Team Canada back when it first started. I guess it's always been the heyday. The other countries are not as good. And speaking of hockey, let's move into the Stanley Cup Finals. They start tonight. The Stanley Cup Finals start tonight. Wait, what the hell is today? Is today Wednesday? Yes. They start tonight in Colorado at 8:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Game 1, the Avs are favored by 1.5 goals. They have a plus 152 line on the money line, and the total goals is projected at 6. The over-under is 6. I only bet the hook in hockey. Sorry. Previewing the series, the Avs are favored to win the Stanley Cup, minus 175. They have a better team, but Tampa are back-to-back champs. There hasn't been a three-peat, I want to say, since like the 80s, and the Islanders did it. It's been a long – the three-peats don't really happen in sports. I don't think the Warriors three-peated. I don't think the Patriots have never three-peated. Like, it is hard. That doesn't really ever happen. As far as the series goes, there is a series spread option, which I find really interesting. So the series spread means by how many games will the Avs win the Cup? The series spread is plus 1.5 games for the Lightning, which means that Vegas thinks that Colorado will win in about 6. I like that. I think they're going to win in 6 or less, and I would totally bet minus 1.5. I totally would bet that. As far as player odds are concerned, who's going to win the Conn Smythe Trophy? This is a two-man race as far as I'm concerned. It's Andrei Vasilevskiy or it's Cale Makar. People think that Nate McKinnon could win it, but remember, it's the MVP for the entire playoffs. I think we're going to get to the narrative soon that Vasilevskiy is the only reason the Lightning have made it this far, which is, to me, kind of true. He's the greatest goaltender of all time, and it has been, off the top of my head, 19 or 20 years since a member of the losing team has won the Stanley or the Conn Smythe Trophy. I think he's the best bet here. He's the only bet, plus 430. These other guys have not done well enough to earn this. It is Makar's or Vasilevsky's. I think McKinnon is. There's no way. If McKinnon wins it, it'll be Makar. Like if the Avs win, Makar will win it. And even if the Avs win, I think Vasilevskiy is the most likely to win the Conn Smythe Trophy. So in summary, I like the Avs to win in 6. You can find that on FanDuel. It's the series spread, and it's minus 1.5, and it plays out plus 118, which is pretty damn good. We'll get you out of here on Barstool Sports deleting a tweet. They deleted a tweet. What tweet did they delete, Nick? Well, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. on a home run. Vladdy just hit that ball to Ontario. They're playing in Toronto. Yes, he did. That is factually correct. He hit that ball to Ontario. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Vladimir Guerrero Sr., you see this on your screen, through 403 games played, they have the exact same home run count and the exact same on-base percentage. How cool is that? Little baseball fun fact for you. Neato burrito. I'll be back in Better Than Ever tomorrow. We have NBA to preview. We'll finish up strong with gambling. And, of course, we'll review the Stanley Cup Finals. Find me on YouTube, Spotify, like, rate, review, all that. You know the drill.